actually thought, Wilds, I saw a humbler Kyrie in that press conference. His tone of voice was not as abrasive. He said he was grateful for the opportunity to play. He said he understood and respected why the team, told him he couldn't play in road games initially. He didn't call the media pawns. I really thought maybe it's just one time. We'll see if it's going forward. But I thought he appeared to be much more humble, which is a good sign for the Nets. Maybe, he's had something he loves taken away from him. But as long as Kevin Durant, James Harden, and the rest of the bunch is on board with this and has the right attitude, I do think this will work. Now, Nick, I was all for what the Nets did earlier in the season because I thought they could win the championship without Kyrie. What I saw over the first few months convinced me they can't win a championship without Kyrie. Unless the James Harden we saw over the last two games is the James Harden we're going to get the rest of the year. But James Harden has not played at a high enough level. And the way James Harden has played, Nick, as low as it's been, relatively speaking, for him, that actually would be really good if they have Kyrie. James Harden giving them 20, 10, and 8 is great when Kyrie's giving you 25 plus what Kevin Durant does. So I think as long as these guys have the right attitude and the other role players aren't upset about, my minutes, when Kyrie comes in out of the blue, now I'm not getting as many minutes. Look at the makeup of the roster. Patty Mills, Paul Millsap, Blake Griffin, LaMarcus Aldridge. These guys are there for one reason.
Yeah, sure.
Right. They just want to win. And so I think they'll have the right attitude, and Nick, that makes it a good move.
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to kill Kyrie because that's what I do. I'm just going to stay consistent that I thought this was a bad idea 3 months ago, so I still think it's a bad idea. Just because the Nets were underachieving to the level that you thought they would be at doesn't, to me, make this all of a sudden a good idea. And Wild said January 5th, but I hope Nets fans get used to what we're about to see, because it's also how the season's going to end. So let me explain that, and this is why I think this is a terrible idea for them, Wilds. Show me their upcoming schedule. So Kyrie is obviously not going to be able to play until January 5th. Then he's off for a week until January 12th, and then he's back January 17th. So between now and January 17th, that's 2 games. And so you might be like, well, what about road trips? Yeah, there'll be road trips. But folks need to look at, Wilds, the end of the Nets season. The last day of the regular season, Wilds, is April 10th. From March 27th on, there is 1 game Kyrie can play in at Atlanta. From March 27th to the end of the year, the Nets have 2 road games, Atlanta and the Knicks. Knicks, you're out for. So we're getting ready for the playoffs. We have a push. Okay, end of March, Kyrie plays 1 time. Then the season ends. Then there's the play-in. Then there's the first 2 games of a playoff series. Guess what? Those are in Brooklyn because you're the 1 or the 2 seed. So then Kyrie makes a little debut after playing once in a month for 2 games. And then it's like, okay, we'll see you again in 2 weeks for games 3 and 4 against either Philly or Chicago or Miami or Milwaukee. I am telling you now, that is a disaster. Everyone knows that's not going to work. That Kyrie will play with the team once in the month leading up to the playoffs. Once. That's all he's eligible for. That's not some prognostication. That's the schedule. And they have home court. Okay. Trying to start these series without him. How is that going to work? Someone tell me how that's going to work.
The only counter to that, Broussard, I listened to Kevin Durant's podcast yesterday, and he was talking about how confident he was. And he was so easy and confident that this was going to work. I'm like, you know what? It's like a pilot coming on when you're like, the plane is bouncing around. He's like, we're just going to go up 5,000 feet and be fine. I was like, I feel totally confident now. That's the confidence that Kevin Durant has that this is going to work. So if KD is confident it's going to work and he's got firsthand experience with it and he's going to be the guy doing it, then I think it's going to work, Broussard.
I think that's a great point. And look, KD can play with anybody. You can drop KD on any team and he's going to give you his 30, period. That's the way he plays.
Yep.
Harden is the key. Okay, James Harden is the key. But, Nick, I want to throw this at you. Let's say Kyrie was injured, which obviously isn't that far from the truth. If he could always be injured. So let's say he was injured and the prospect was Kyrie will be back for like the third game of the first round of the playoffs. Do you think the Nets would be excited about that, or would it be, how we going to, Kyrie hadn't played all year. He's only played 10 games
but that's
or
not
fair. 21
He's going to be
games.
back
I mean, I'm
and
just
then
asking.
re-aggravate the injury every 4 days. He's going to be back and then out, and then back and then out, and then back and then out. It's not starting
but
in
if
the
that
playoffs,
was
he
the
gets to
case,
play all
would
the
they
time.
take that, or would they say, you know what, since you're going to keep re-aggravating it, don't come back? No, they would take it.
Yeah,
they would take it.
Yeah.
Unless Harden
Well,
becomes the Houston Harden again. Then I'm all right.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.